welcome to the Douceur. I wish I knew then what I know now. And congratulations to Michael. He's an MBA candidate about to graduate on the radar, not too far off now with University of Wales, Trinity St. David in the Douceur MBA program. How's it going, Mike?
It's going well. Thanks, Dan.
Mike, we talked a couple of weeks ago about a couple of things that I think you literally said, I wish I knew then. And I would just like to tell more people whether they're about to start with us in October or February or any kind of incoming intake. And I just wanted to hit on a few things. And number one, I want to start with one of the most basics is if you're considering Douceur, University of Wales or University of East London or University of New England, or Torrens University or Mauritius, one of the great things you'll find is one, you're probably already qualified if you got this far, if we reached out to you, if you've talked with an advisor already, or you've already applied. That's awesome. If you haven't applied already, I think you'll be surprised how painless it is. It's also currently free to apply, so you might as well get that in and get out of the way and get ready to go. And why I wanted to get Mike on the call was to be able to journal some of really good advice he had that was not only just the things that we do in enrollment, that is to help people identify what is the best degree for them, but also a couple of tips that you can do that you might not have known that are pre-start and even as you're getting into it. And I'll let Mike speak to a couple of things that he has on the list. We've got about 8 total people on the call now, so that's fantastic. But let's start out real quick. Mike, just tell people where you are and what you do for a living because it's a pretty awesome job.
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually in finance, managing cash for a company in Las Vegas we're a manufacturer that that puts out gaming systems and slot machines to casinos around the country and actually around the world. We're in 91 different countries. And we've got a market cap of about $21.7 billion around the globe. So, you know, a little small company on the street corner. And so we consider ourselves a technology and a software company.
And I think you saw one of our ads on social media, and there's another webinar where you actually do address. I'll put the link in this where you talked about why you chose Douceur, but now you're several months ahead of that, and the MBA is delivering for you. You're getting ROI. You're applying things to your current job still.
Yes, on each and every one of those points. So yeah, I think we talked back in maybe July of 2000. I'm getting lost now with COVID, but 2019.
So you had some really good advice that I think current students could immediately learn from watching this studio. And I know you had a list, but do you want to talk about some of the things that you would suggest?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that I think was really important is to get organized sooner than later, going into module one. You've got basically a roadmap in each of the modules to start. And so if you can get around that, and we've actually changed some of the way the courses are being taught. They're being taught now with live lectures, which is which has been pretty good. It's a little bit better than watching or reading on your own. But there is a roadmap, and if you can organize that roadmap into your assignments, it makes it go a lot easier. Obviously, the tools that we have today versus what we had, 25, 30 years ago are a lot different. One of the things that is really important is to get around the Harvard referencing system. And there's tutorials around it. There's actually the university provides a Harvard referencing handbook, which is really great to have. Um, I can't stress how important that referencing system is when you're going through the assignments and doing your research, because there are marks that are taken off for not doing it right. And it's so easy to do it right with the tools that we have today. But it's it's been very, very important for each of the 5 lectures that I've already worked with.
What about any of the advice around, I'd say, time management, paying attention to, your assignments, being prepared for submitting that research paper at the end of each module.
Yeah. So I would say, go to the rubric, get organized, and start writing on day one. As you read through the material on Canvas, which is pretty easy, but it's also got a lot of fascinating stuff out there with videos and tutorials from guest lectures from around the world. But that information goes directly into what is expected in the assignments. And so as you're going through and reading the material and watching, videos and doing research, as you and I don't mean write, but I mean jot down your notes towards the assignment, you're finding that you're probably halfway written, as you start thinking about getting ready to finalize the written assignments, if you can do that. If you wait up until the last 2 weeks, you're just going to put an incredible amount of pressure on yourselves.
I've noticed a difference in the way people network each other, depend on each other, help each other out in the WhatsApp chat groups. Any advice on how to come right out of the gate and make some friends and make some connections?
Yeah, so there's two ways to do that. First, our student advisors will set up I guess you have October cohort coming in, so they will set up a WhatsApp group for all of those students, and then it's up to the students to be involved in that. It's self-driven, so we ping each other back and forth on ideas or when we have questions. And then we've also set up a separate study group on Saturday mornings for an hour and a half, just to really, it gives us some additional support when the lecture isn't available, where people have come up with questions. And I mean, even silly things like, I forgot what the lecturer said, what kind of font they want. But if you don't get those little things right, then you can lose marks.
Yeah. And can you explain, because for a lot of people, the difference between grades and marks? I've talked to you about this and to Dan about that. Just what you need to know going into it, and how to prepare yourself.
Yeah. So in the U.S., and I don't know your audience here, but in the U.S., if you go back to the A, B, C, D, and F, A was 90 to 100%. Marks are actually awarded. So if you receive up to 50 marks, that's a passing for the class or for the assignment. So what you're trying to do is score as many marks as you can, and then there's different levels of distinction based on the number of marks that you earn. So you need to take yourself away from probably the US system of how we were graded in elementary and high school, and even in universities here in the States, and start thinking about how do I earn those marks to make sure that or ensure that I pass the assignments.
And then Douceur has something unique called the graduation coaches. Can you talk about how you'd recommend getting to know them, working with them, engaging with them?
So we have a graduation coach, which is in our case Tara, works very closely with us on all things non-academic, and then we have an academic coach who in this case for us was actually one of our lecturers also, because she's a I think she's actually got her PhD now, and it was within her wheelhouse, so she taught one of the classes. But Rachel's been there all along. Anytime we have questions around academics or assignment problems or anything of that sort, she's the liaison between the students and whoever she needs to dial in to help resolve the issues.
And then what about reaching out to, I'm going to kind of wrap it up with this and any other advice you have, but here you are, you're kind of upperclassmen, right? So if somebody's starting next session, I'm looking at Greg on our list, you do upperclassmen, are you open to the new students? Because some of them join you in process, and that's kind of cool, right? Like,
yeah, it is.
They'll be, you're the seniors, if you will, but the freshmen and sophomore are joining your classes. What would your advice to them be in terms of making those connections?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly been very flexible and available to anybody, and I know most most of the cohorts on our team are also. We certainly welcome any questions. This is it's an MBA program, so it's not easy. It does take some effort. But if you're going to, invest in this, you might as well get the most out of it. And since we've already kind of gone down the path of finding certain landmines and sidestepping those, again, any university in the world, you're going to have this. You're going to have landmines get in your way. You're going to have problems come up. It's been great that we've had a couple of the seniors as we've gone through that, and certainly I think we'd be open to assisting anybody coming in today.
One of the big differences and values with Douceur is you've got faculty who will answer a question. You've got enrollment advisors, admissions advisors who are there to help answer questions along the way, hopefully as quickly as you need those answers back to you. And I hopefully some of you can get to meet Michael along the way. And who knows, maybe you'll be one of the next students on a webinar teaching the next generation of upcoming students what to do and sharing some of your best practices. That is a wrap. Michael, thank you so much.
Good luck, everyone.